Mrs. Linda from Florida once thought her dad was just being picky when he stopped eating his favorite pot roast. But little did she know, it was the first quiet hint of his final year. Every day, millions of Americans over 50 experience subtle shifts like this. Changes that often slip by unnoticed. But today, we're here to uncover the 7 signs an elderly person may be in their final year. Urgent clues you can't afford to miss. Welcome to Life Wisdom, where we help you understand and cherish elderly health in its most precious moments. As you watch, think about whether you've noticed any of these signs in someone close to you. And if you feel like it, share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Let's dive into these vital insights together. You might think that when old age comes, the end arrives out of the blue. But here's a startling truth. For 70% of families, the signs were there all along, only recognized too late when looking back. The reality is that the body often whispers its warnings months, sometimes even a full year, before life draws to a close. These subtle shifts can be easy to dismiss as just part of growing older, but missing them could mean losing the chance to prepare, to offer better care, or to make those final days truly count. That's why we're here today to walk you through the 7 signs an elderly person may be in their final year. Because understanding these clues isn't about fearing what's ahead, it's about being ready to act with compassion and clarity. At Life Wisdom, we believe this knowledge is more than just health advice. It's a way to turn fleeting moments into lasting memories. When you spot these signs early, you can bring comfort, dignity, and peace to those you love most, ensuring their final chapter is as meaningful as it deserves to be. So let's get started and explore what the body is trying to tell us, step by step. Picture this. You're at the table with someone you cherish, someone who once couldn't wait to carve into a juicy Sunday roast, their eyes lighting up at the sight of a steaming plate. But now, that same plate sits nearly untouched. The fork hesitates, pushing peas around in circles instead of lifting them to their lips. It's tempting to chalk it up to a fleeting mood or a picky streak, but more often than not, it's the body's first faint whisper that something fundamental is shifting deep within. This is where we start. Unintentional weight loss and a fading appetite. It sneaks in so subtly you might not catch it at first. A belt needing an extra notch or two, a favorite sweater draping loose where it once fit snugly, or a once solid frame shrinking gradually, almost like it's fading before your very eyes. Families often shrug this off as just another wrinkle of old age, but let's peel back the layers. When weight slips away without any effort, it's rarely a casual coincidence. As the body edges toward its final stretch, it begins to lose its grip on nourishment. Muscles waste away like leaves curling and drying in the fall, an effect called sarcopenia, where the body breaks down protein faster than it can rebuild. The stomach and intestines, once efficient at pulling energy from every bite, slow to a weary crawl, their lining thinning out and absorbing less with each meal. Science tells us this isn't random. Studies show that in the last year of life, metabolism often shifts, burning calories unevenly while the body prioritizes survival over strength. You might notice them turning down a warm slice of apple pie they used to crave, or murmuring they're not hungry even as the clock strikes dinner time. This isn't their taste buds growing bored, it's a deeper signal. The brain's hunger cues, driven by hormones like ghrelin, start to misfire as the nervous system winds down, no longer sparking that eager call for food. Beneath this, silent culprits might be at play. Cancer quietly eating away at reserves, heart failure sapping the energy to process meals, or kidneys faltering, letting nutrients slip through unclaimed. Even without disease, aging alone dims the senses. Smell weakens by up to 50% in seniors, dulling flavors until eating feels more like a duty than a delight. You might try tempting them with childhood favorites, a slice of meatloaf, a creamy milkshake. But if the scale keeps dipping, despite your efforts, it's time to listen closer. Forcing heaping plates won't reverse this tide. The body's not playing by the old rules anymore. Instead, offer gentle, manageable bites. Think creamy mashed potatoes, a warm spoonful of broth, or a soft fruit puree, and keep a glass of water nearby to ease their way. Comfort outweighs calories here. If you see their clothes sagging, their grip softening, or their appetite drifting off like a breeze, don't brush it aside. This isn't just a slimmer silhouette, it's the body raising a tender flag, a call to lean in with care and brace yourself for the road ahead. When the body can't hold on to nourishment anymore, the next thing you'll notice is their energy slipping away like sand through your fingers. Picture someone you love. Maybe the grandparent who used to bustle around the kitchen, apron tied tight, or stride across the yard to tend the roses. Now they're lingering in their chair, too weary to stand, let alone stir a pot or trim a bush. This isn't just a long day catching up with them. It's a profound exhaustion creeping in, a kind that rest can't shake off. We're talking about extreme fatigue and a steady drain of energy here. It's not the tiredness you feel after a busy afternoon. This is a bone-deep weariness that turns even the simplest tasks into mountains. Getting out of bed might take half the morning. Walking to the mailbox feels like a marathon. And even chatting over coffee wears them out until their words trail off mid-sentence. Families often mistake this for laziness or a need for a pep talk, but the truth runs deeper. As the body nears its final chapter, its engines, the heart, the lungs, the bloodstream, start running on fumes. The heart pumps slower, pushing less oxygen-rich blood to the muscles. Studies show that in older adults, blood oxygen levels can drop by 10% or more as organs tire out. Lungs, too, lose their stretch, taking in shallower breaths, leaving the body starved for the fuel it once thrived on. Then there's metabolism. It slows to a whisper, hoarding what little energy remains for the bare essentials, keeping the heart beating, the brain ticking, while everything else, like lifting a spoon or crossing the room, gets left behind. You might see them napping more, eyelids drooping by noon, or needing to sit after just a few steps. 1 minute they're fine, the next they're spent, as if a switch flipped off inside. It's not just physical either. This fatigue seeps into their spirit. Someone who once lit up at a family story might now stare blankly, too drained to laugh or join in. That can sting to watch, tempting you to urge them to push through. But here's the key. They can't. Their tank is running dry and no amount of willpower refills it. Instead of prodding them to do more, ease their load, bring the phone closer, keep their favorite chair by the window, and save those precious bursts of energy for a quiet talk when they're awake. Comfort is the goal now, not conquest. If you're seeing them fade like this, slowing to a stop where they once buzzed with life, don't dismiss it as a phase. It's the body pulling back, saving its last sparks, and asking you to meet them where they are with patience and care. When their strength fades and energy slips away, the next shift you'll notice isn't in their steps but in their mind, a fog rolling in where clarity once reigned. Think of someone you know, maybe the aunt who could recite every birthday in the family, or the dad who never missed a punchline. Now they're pausing mid-story, groping for a name they've known for decades, or staring out the window for hours, lost in a silence that feels heavier than words. This isn't just a senior moment or a fleeting lapse. It's a deeper unraveling, cognitive confusion and withdrawal. It starts small, repeating the same question about dinner plans, forgetting where the car keys landed, or wandering into the kitchen only to stand there, unsure why they came. Families might laugh it off as quirks of age, but here's what's really happening. As the body slows, so does the brain's lifeline. Blood flow to the head drops. Research shows it can decrease by up to 20% in older adults as arteries stiffen and the heart labors less. With less oxygen and nutrients reaching those delicate circuits, memory frays, focus blurs, and the world starts feeling like a puzzle with missing pieces. You might catch them struggling to follow a TV show they've watched for years, or mixing up the grandkids' names in a way that leaves them flustered. Then there's the pulling back. They stop calling friends, skip the weekly card game, or sit quietly at the table while the family buzzes around them. It's not that they don't care. Their mind just can't keep up anymore. The noise of a room, the tangle of a conversation, it all turns exhausting, like trying to tune a radio through static. Sometimes, emotions swing too. One day they're snappish over a spilled cup. The next, they're calm to the point of detachment, as if the spark that fueled their reactions has dimmed. If you've seen this drift in someone close, take a moment. Think back to when they were sharp and engaged. Does it feel different now? That's the clue to hold on to. Pushing them to snap out of it won't work. The wiring's too strained. Instead, meet them where they are. Speak slowly, repeat without frustration, and surround them with familiar things, like an old photo album or their favorite quilt. A gentle voice and a steady presence can cut through the haze better than a lecture. If they're growing foggy, losing track, or retreating into their own quiet world, don't let it slide as just aging. It's the mind signaling its own slow fade, asking you to stay close with patience and grace as it navigates this twilight. When the mind starts to blur and retreat, the body's next move is to lower its defenses, leaving the gates open where they once stood firm. Think back to someone you love. Maybe they rarely caught a cold in their younger days, shrugging off sniffles with a hot tea and a nap. Now, it's a different story. Every bug going around seems to find them, and a tiny scratch lingers far longer than it should. This isn't just bad luck or a stubborn flu season. It's a telling shift, frequent infections, and slow healing. You might notice they're battling one thing after another: a cough that turns into pneumonia, a urinary tract infection that keeps coming back, or a patch of red, irritated skin that won't settle down. Families often see these as separate hiccups, but here's the stark reality. 90% of older adults face a weakened immune system in their final year, according to medical studies. As the body winds down, its army of white blood cells, the ones that fight off invaders, shrinks and slows, leaving it vulnerable to every germ that drifts by. Blood flow, already sluggish from a tiring heart, can't rush oxygen and nutrients to wounds like it used to. A cut that once healed in days now festers for weeks, scabbing over only to crack open again. Even antibiotics, those trusty pills that used to knock out a bug fast, lose their punch. Doctors say it's because the liver and kidneys, worn out from years of filtering, can't process them as efficiently anymore. You might spot a bruise on their arm that looks darker and stays longer, or a sore that forms from sitting too long, refusing to fade despite creams and care. What's trickier is how these infections hide. Instead of a blazing fever, they might just seem sleepier, a bit more muddled, or less interested in their plate, quiet clues that something's brewing beneath. For seniors, a sudden dip in alertness is often the first red flag of trouble, not the thermometer. Watching them cycle through sickness after sickness can wear you down, tempting you to push for one more doctor's visit, one more round of meds. But if the pattern holds despite all that, it's time to shift gears. Healing's not the point anymore. Keeping them at ease is. Focus on the basics. Clean their skin gently with warm water, dab on a soothing ointment, and make sure they sip enough fluids to help their body along. If infections keep knocking or scrapes linger like unwanted guests, don't write it off as a coincidence. It's the body signaling its shield is down, asking you to guard it with tenderness instead of force. When the body's defenses falter and infections take hold, you'll soon hear a quieter story unfolding, one told not through words, but through the rhythm of their breath. Imagine someone you care about, perhaps the uncle who used to whistle a tune while fixing the car, or the mom who'd hum softly over the stove. Now their breathing slows to a hush like a gentle wind fading across an open field, and their hands grow cold no matter how many blankets you pile on. This isn't just a chill or a moment of rest. It's a profound shift, changes in breathing and poor circulation. You might notice their chest rising and falling more shallowly, each inhale a little shorter, or catch them pausing between breaths as if the air itself is hesitating. Sometimes it speeds up briefly, then drags to a near stop, a pattern doctors call Cheyne-Stokes respiration, common when the body nears its end. Families often miss this at first, thinking they're just tired. But here's what's happening beneath. The heart, worn from years of steady work, pumps with less force, sending blood out in weaker waves. Studies show that in older adults, circulation to the hands and feet can drop by 30% as the body pulls resources inward, prioritizing the brain and core over the edges. That's why their fingertips might feel icy, their toes tinged pale or even bluish, while their nose turns cool to the touch. Lungs, too, play a part. Decades of breathing have stiffened them, cutting capacity so each gasp brings less oxygen to a system already running low. You might see them huffing after shifting in their chair or needing to pause mid-sentence to catch their breath, lips parted as they draw air more through the mouth than the nose. Fluid can build up too, especially if the heart struggles. A subtle gurgle in their throat or a tight cough that won't quit, making it hard for them to lie flat without feeling smothered. It's tempting to panic, to nudge them to breathe deeper or call for help right away, but often this is just the body's natural slowdown, not a crisis to fix. Forcing won't turn it around. Instead, prop them up with pillows to ease the strain, keep the room cool and calm, and offer tiny sips of water to soothe their throat. A fan by the bedside can help if the air feels heavy. If you're seeing their breath falter, their hands turn cold, or their skin take on that faint blue shadow, don't brush it off as a passing spell. It's the body conserving its last reserves, whispering its limits, and asking you to surround it with peace rather than push against the tide. As their breath grows faint and circulation ebbs, the next change you'll see isn't in their body alone, but in how they connect, or don't, with the world around them. Picture someone dear, maybe the neighbor who'd host every 4th of July barbecue, flipping burgers with a grin, or the grandma who'd chatter away at the bingo hall. Now, they're turning down invites, sitting silent at gatherings, or snapping over something small like a misplaced remote. This isn't just them being moody or antisocial. It's a shift that runs deep, reduced social interaction and mood swings. You might notice they're pulling away, skipping the phone calls they once loved, avoiding the front porch chats with old pals, or staying quiet even when the grandkids tumble in with their usual chaos. Families often think they're just tired or grumpy, but there's more at play. As the body slows, so does the brain's chemistry. Hormones like serotonin and dopamine, the ones that lift spirits and spark connection, dip lower as energy reserves dwindle. Studies show that in older adults nearing the end, these chemical shifts can cut social drive by half, leaving them less eager to engage. Fatigue piles on too. What used to be a joy, laughing over a shared story or debating the best pie recipe, now feels like a chore they can't muster strength for. Then there's the mood. One day they're sharp-tongued over a spilled glass, bristling at the smallest slight. The next they're flat, staring past you as if nothing matters. It's not personal. Their emotional gears are grinding down, misfiring under the strain of a system that's running out of steam. Think back for a moment. Remember how they lit up at a family joke or a neighbor's wave? Does that feel distant now? That's the thread to hold on to. Urging them to perk up or join in won't reignite that spark. They're too worn to bridge the gap. Instead, keep it simple. Sit beside them without pushing, share a quiet memory they can nod to, or let them rest while you handle the noise. A soft touch or a familiar voice can mean more than a crowded room. If you're seeing them drift from the chatter, flare up unexpectedly, or sink into a stillness that's new, don't chalk it up to a bad day. It's the heart and mind pulling inward, signaling a retreat, and asking you to honor their space with gentle patience. As they withdraw from the chatter and their moods sway, the next twist comes in something as basic as sleep. A rhythm you'd think would stay steady, but suddenly turns upside down. Picture someone close, maybe the parent who'd nod off predictably after the evening news, or the spouse who'd rise with the sun to brew coffee. Now, they're dozing through the afternoon, eyes heavy by lunch, yet wide awake when the clock strikes midnight, staring into the dark. This isn't just a quirky habit or a restless night. It's a startling shift, irregular sleep and biological disruption. You might catch them napping in odd pockets of the day, slumped in their recliner mid-morning or drifting off during a phone call, only to find them restless when the house goes quiet, pacing or murmuring as if the night won't let them settle. Families often blame a bad mattress or too much coffee, but here's the hidden truth. As the body nears its close, its internal clock, the circadian rhythm, starts to flicker like a lamp before it burns out. Science backs this up. Studies show that in older adults nearing the end, the brain's suprachiasmatic nucleus, the tiny command center for sleep and wake cycles, weakens as blood flow and hormones falter, throwing day and night into chaos. Melatonin, the hormone that ushers in rest, drops off, while cortisol, the stress signal that keeps us alert, spikes at the wrong hours. You might notice them sleeping so deeply at times that they're hard to rouse, lost in a haze even the doorbell can't pierce, then tossing fitfully hours later, unable to drift back. It's not just tiring for them, it wears on you too, wondering why rest won't come when it should. Pushing a strict bedtime won't reset this clock. It's too far off its tracks. Instead, bend with it. Dim the lights low in the evening to coax calm. Let them nap when they need without fuss, and keep a soft routine, maybe a warm tea or a familiar story, to ease them into rest when they're ready. A gentle glow from a nightlight can steady them if the dark feels too vast. If you're seeing sleep scatter like this, days blurred into naps, nights stretched with wakefulness, don't dismiss it as a phase. It's the body's last rhythm slipping, a quiet signal of its unwind, asking you to adapt with care rather than fight its tide. So here we are, having walked through this tender journey together. From plates left untouched and energy draining away, to minds growing foggy, defenses crumbling, breath slowing, connections fading, and sleep turning upside down. These aren't just random threads. They're the body's quiet way of telling us it's nearing the end of its story. It starts with a shrinking frame and a lost hunger, moves to a weariness that rest can't lift, then a haze that steals their sharpness, a frailty that invites every germ, a breath that whispers its limits, a retreat from the bustle, and a clock that no longer knows day from night. For many, spotting these changes feels heavy, natural to want to fight them, to coax more meals, more steps, more smiles. But sometimes, the truest strength lies in listening instead of pushing. Understanding these shifts doesn't mean giving up. It means giving better, with care that wraps them in comfort and dignity when they need it most. At Life Wisdom, we see this not as an ending to dread, but a chance to make their final days glow with meaning. Because in the end, they don't need you to fix what's fading. They need you to be there, steady and warm. Your presence is the greatest gift you can offer. A silent promise that they're not alone on this path. Take a moment now. What stood out to you today? Was it the untouched plate, the faltering breath, or something else? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop them in the comments below and let us know what you'll carry forward from this. If it's touched you, stick with us at Life Wisdom, subscribe and join this community, because together, we can keep shining light on what matters most. Thanks for being here. We'll see you at the next one.